know.
Twitter.
Bro, we got to figure out what it is. Like, we record, put it out. Tom Brady unretires. We record, we put it out. Tyreek fucking gets traded. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what are they doing to us over here, man? It's hard. Fucking
I don't know. Like, yeah, we are picking great time to like record, and then shit just pops off.
Yeah, man.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
And then today or yesterday, Arians steps away.
Yeah. What? Is it Bowles now as the head coach?
Yeah, now Todd Bowles is the head coach. So, I mean, we'll see what happens tomorrow. What news is going to drop tomorrow?
Right, exactly. So I'm thinking I got to just like start like getting these posted immediately or something like that so that we can just, I don't know. But the last 2 weeks, we got some bombshells that just came out like right after we posted. So I'm just like, damn, man.
It has been insane.
Absolutely wild, man. Where do you want to start? Like, what's on your mind right now?
I think for me right now, the biggest thing that kind of really jumped off the page is that the Rams have signed Bobby Wagner.
I didn't even know this.
And that's a huge get, bro.
You're breaking news to me right now.
That's a huge, like, they signed it to a 5-year deal, too. Like, that's a get. That's a get.
Do you think the Seahawks just got rid of him just because for the sake of rebuilding? Because I didn't understand why they released him to begin with.
I think that's what it is. It's like they're at this point they're in a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not going to be competitive next year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, let's just. And my thing is, I don't understand. Maybe I don't know why they would try to trade him. Maybe at least get some draft capital out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what did they? Okay, oh, never mind. They released him, so Rams just signed him. For a minute, I was like, "What did they trade him for?" Because these trades have been crazy to me recently too, man. Like all these studs are getting traded for like 5th-round picks and stuff like that, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I mean, I'm still kind of rearing off of that whole Tyreek Hill and them just getting draft picks out of it. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think me and you talked about it briefly last week, but we didn't record it, so like we might as well get into that. Like, again, I don't get. They got a 1st round, right? But then like everything else was like 2nd round, 3rd round. I think they got like a 5th round, like later. Like I don't. It's Tyreek Hill, man. Like he's one of the best receivers in the league. Like I
think it really just comes down to like they're typically you find quality, especially at the receiver spot. You can find quality in those later rounds, like. You can easily find quality in the 2nd or 3rd round at a receiver spot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I mean, and they picked up they picked up a decent. They got Juju.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then they also pick up MVS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they actually, granted, now it's not the same dynamic of a player, but. That's not bad. Like 2 guys you picking up that can make some noise.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just who's taking the top off the lid, like way down the field.
He's and the crazy thing is oftentimes it's not even that though too, right? Because literally you can throw him a seam route and he can just take it.
Yeah, he's different.
Or you give him a crossing and he get any type of room and it's turned into an extra 15-20 yard game.
Yeah. I'm interested in the Dolphins now, man. They rebuilt their whole line.
Bro, they're about to be dangerous. Bro.
I think the question is just Tua. It's like, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
You know? Because, I mean, they just rebuilt their whole line. They've got 2 stud receivers now. That young tight end has been pretty good. I forget his name, but I know he was balling out. I forget his name. I think it starts with a G. But, yeah, they got like a good young receiver or a good young tight end, too. They're going to be interesting. It just really is going to depend on if Tua can take that next step because he's looked like anything but consistent so far. There's been flashes of like good, and then there's been flashes of just like, oh, that was a really ugly game.
Yeah, so. I think this as long as he can just get consistent, and it really is like their trajectory is really just going to come down. And I mean, you got to admit, I mean, the last half of that season, they were winning.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they brought it because what were they? What they started the season like 1 and something?
Yeah, but then they were coming alive.
And yeah, they just started. they started coming, bro. And so I think they'll be all right. And you're talking the tight end is Gasecki.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. He's got some promise. It makes me honestly feel bad for Brian Flores even more, man. Like that was his team, like, and they didn't have a bad record. It just more so now I look at it and I'm just like, man, like that stinks that he didn't have. They're not going to give him one more year to kind of like with this squad now. Like I really liked him as a coach, you know. And it's just like, yeah.
Well, it was funny because I don't know if you've seen or if I sent this to you. And they were talking about it on that Brandon Marshall and Ocho Cinco I Am Athlete podcast where they were talking about it, and they had Brian Flores on there, and we may have discussed this, but they asked him like, you not looking to lose those games made you lose out on Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's something to think about.
It is.
You know what I mean? Like it is something to think about, and I think maybe he's just like. I think he just has a certain integrity for the game, but then also I think maybe just had belief in Tua.
Yeah.
Right? Like Tua had a lot of fucking buzz coming out of college. The only thing was that he literally was, we got to remember too, like dude is only 2-3 years removed from that hip injury.
Exactly. And that was the big question surrounding him going into him being drafted, So
I don't know, but their team is going to be nice. Defensively, they're solid. If he can get it to that next level,
yeah, it's going to be nice, hard. Bro. He's basically going to have to be bad for them not to be good because, as long as he's average, they have two receivers now that are just speedsters, that are just studs, and it's a good O-line.
Yeah, they're going to be really. You think about it, they went 9-8 last year. And that was starting off the season as bad as they did.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta believe. You would hope to believe that they would be able to start the season off better and be able to stay consistent. So, them in New England, really, I think are going to be battling for who's going to finish second in that division.
Yeah, that's a good point because the Bills are still obviously coming. They're going to be. I think they're obviously the best.
Bills are just, bro. They picked up Von Miller, dog.
Yeah, I love the Bills. Did you see? I think I sent it to you, but they are changing that overtime rule for the postseason now. Both
I did see that,
and I like that.
I do. I like that as well. Because just imagine how that happened in that game with the Bills and the Chiefs. It's not easy. We don't know if it would have changed the outcome, but we just got more really good football.
Correct. Yeah, and it's I understand keeping it for the regular season, it's just the regular season, but for the postseason, it's just it's almost like there's stuff that's just left out on the table that we didn't get to see, So it's just, it's huge and it's heartbreaking. I felt that same way when Mahomes didn't get a shot after Brady 3 years ago, and then tables turned and he ended up being the lucky recipient last year. But in both cases, because I felt really bad for Josh Allen because he just played. Could you play a more perfect football game than he played? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just didn't get that shot. So that'd be really cool.
I'm excited for that to happen. And then I gotta tell you, I do not like that adjustment that they made to the Rooney Rule. I hate it. I think it's ridiculous.
I didn't realize that was a part of the Rooney Rule. Okay, so that's a new thing. They're hiring. You need to have an offensive coordinator or offensive assistant coach as a minority, or is it
or a woman?
Okay, but did I read offense? Am I correct, or is it just?
It's just offense. It's just offense. You have to have an offensive assistant coach that is a minority or a woman.
Okay. And you say you don't like it?
Elaborate. I don't like it. One, so now what you're going to have is them bringing on someone to be an assistant coach. And everybody's going to know that they're going to start to make these speculations around whether or not this person made it on their merit, right? Rather than them making it on the quality. What needs to happen, rather than making it a requirement, they just need to have better interviewing practices in place. That's what needs to happen. It's not that they need to make it a requirement, right? It's really around you need to make the playing field level and equal for everybody. That's what you need to do. And I don't think people are asking for them to make requirements to give black coaches an opportunity. That's not what they're asking. We're just asking for you to level the playing field so that way when people are interviewing, that it's a fair process. And it's not right now.
Yeah.
And it's evident.
I totally agree. And it's just comes down to the first thing you said there. It's like, and it was the same thing with the Rooney Rule before. You almost look at it and you're just like, okay, did I get this because I deserved it or because you needed to have me? You know what I mean?
That part, right? And it doesn't make you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you almost then at that point you literally become a token black person or you're literally just becoming a token minority.
Mm-hmm.
How's that supposed to make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Now some people were like, I don't give a fuck. I just got the opportunity. I'm gonna make the most of it, right? Which okay, fine, but people like at least for me, it literally is not about I don't need you to give me this. I can earn it on my own. Just make the playing field equal to where I can do that.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is everyone I've talked to has kind of had the same level opinion on this as what you just expressed. I don't know. Have you met anyone that's like, no, I love what they're doing? Like, it doesn't seem to me like anyone I've talked to has been like on board with it. Everyone seems to be saying the exact same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the feel is just that like, it just doesn't feel good. We're not asking for it. No, like I'm pretty sure these black coaches are like, we're not asking for a handout.
Yeah, definitely not.
That's not what we're doing. But give us a fair shot. Give us an opportunity, and we'll go from there.
For sure. Now, but like as far as rules go, I'm not sure how they can implement something to make that happen. That's where it's just like that's where it's that gray area of like, where is the accountability? You know what I mean? Like, how can we honestly hold them to this by implementing a rule? Because I don't know what rule. I don't even think it comes down to rules. Yeah, it's just going to come down to the merit of like the organization in the league, where it's just like they're going to level it out.
Also, too, like even with them implementing this rule, right? We'll have to see. It's going to take some time for us to kind of see the results of it, of whether or not it's going to bear fruit of what they're hoping it to bear, which is developing head coaches.
Yep.
Right. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to develop head coaches. So let's give it a couple of years and see if that's what it's doing. I'm going to guess that it's not. The only reason why I think that there may be some improved numbers because it's a thing that's been consistently been drawn attention to. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's going to make it to where we're going to see drastic increase in numbers.
Yeah. I want to ask you, do you think, I don't want to say in our lifetime, but just in like recent, years to come, do you see, or like nearing years to come, do you see a head coordinator? I almost feel like a head coach is far-fetched, not because I don't agree that they should be, but it's just like, it sounds so like out of the realm of possibility to me. Do you see a woman do you see them giving a woman a shot as like a head offensive, a defensive coordinator? Because I know there was the woman for the 49ers a couple years ago. Wasn't she the head special teams coordinator when they made the Super Bowl?
Like that.
I don't know if she's still there, but that's another interesting point to me. It's like, I don't know if I can see that, not because I don't think they deserve the shot, but it's just like, I can't even fathom that in my head. Like it just seems so out in left field from what the NFL is used to. Can you see that in years to come, like anytime soon, like them giving like a female a shot at being at least like a head coordinator in the NFL?
I think it's going to take some time because, I mean, we haven't even made the strides on just minority hires, and now we're jumping to, and we're talking about individuals that have actually played in the NFL.
Exactly.
And they're struggling to even get some of these, head defensive or offensive coordinator jobs, let alone a head coaching job. And now we're talking about potentially individuals that have never played the sport.
Right.
Now, I shouldn't say never played the sport, but never played the sport at that level. And now they're getting opportunities.
Right. No, I'm kind of in the same field with you there.
It's going I just don't believe that these owners are going to be. It's going to take some time. I think that's going to take some time.
What do you think it is though with the like? Do you think it's just straight up like even it, like racism is a strong word, but like is it just straight prejudice? Like they don't feel like anyone but a white person can do the role, or do you think like what do you think it is?
I honestly believe it is a bit of there's a prejudice there, right?
No, I'm with you. We're conscious or not. I don't necessarily think that they're sitting there going like, well, he's black, so I don't think he can do it. But I just think maybe it's like a subconscious thing where it's just like,
yeah, I mean, we all have it, right? We all have,
everyone has prejudice.
Biases,
yeah,
right. We all have these unconscious biases, but it's also upon us to make sure that we acknowledge them and kind of
and keep it in check. Yeah,
these coaches, like these owners, they're not.
No, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Yeah.
And so, and I think that's where I think people are asking the NFL to do is like, you have to find a way to get these owners to fall in line with what these hiring practices are. Because I guarantee, let the NFL get audited by like the EEOC.
Oh my God, yeah, right.
Like let one of these NFL organizations get audited by the EEOC. They'd be fucked.
Right.
I guarantee it.
Completely. That would change shit real quick.
Oh, very
like
fast. Yeah. Right? Because the amount of money that they had to pay out the ass for just some of the egregious, hiring decisions that some of these organizations are making. It would so they're lucky that that doesn't happen. But I guarantee if they were to ever get audited by it, it would be very unlikely.
Yeah, that would be a disaster for the NFL in all regards. Do we know what's up with Brian Flores? Is like, I know the last I heard and we've talked about was that he was suing. I don't know if like that would like they proceeded with that or if
no, it's still as far as I understand, he's still that's still being pursued and sought after. But right now, I mean, I'm assuming probably his focus outside of just that is just, I mean, he's an assistant coach for the Steelers, right? And so just preparing for this season and getting ready. And I love the fact that he's with, he's going to be with Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, that's cool.
And even Mike Tomlin talked about it. He was like, just understand that what he's going to be going through. One, he's a great football mind. He was like, but I want to just be there to be able to support him while he's going through all of this.
Exactly.
So, and good. I thought that was awesome that he's doing that. But I guarantee there'll probably be a rule that'll come out or something that's going to, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I agree. And I remember when we were talking about it last time, because it was during the coaching hiring process, it was like, wasn't it just Tomlin at the time? I know now Bowles is there. Is it just them? Is there more minority head coaches than just those two right
now? I believe there's 5.
Rivera.
So you got Rivera, Tomlin, Bowles, Lovey.
Yes, Lovey's,
and then Saleh over at the Jets.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Where did Lovey Smith get signed again?
I have no fucking idea.
I remember the headline, but I don't know where the fuck he went. What the hell?
No fucking idea.
But that was big because I know he was playing, for the Bears. So I remember when I saw that.
Where did he? It's not Jacksonville. Where did he?
The Texans.
The Texans. Yeah. Because they let go of I forgot their old coach name, but yeah.
I don't know who was the coach at the end of the year. It wasn't that idiot that they fired at the beginning of the year, right? That one dude that's been there for a while that everyone hated.
No, it was one of the old Ravens, a coach. He's been a coach for years. He had been an assistant for years, and then they gave him a job. And then, he literally gets this team to win 4 games. How the fuck he does that with remember Tyrod Taylor got fucking injured at the beginning of the year. He had Davis Mills as his fucking quarterback.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they were a disaster.
So they were just all over the place, and he still won 4 games.
Yeah, I don't see them being much better this year, honestly. I don't know what the hell they've got going for them. They better draft good and hope something crazy happens because, yeah.
But, the other thing that we have to talk about, so that Deshaun Watson contract is really, really having a lot of these damn organizations fuck, bro. What are we gonna do? Namely, the Baltimore Ravens, because now they got to figure out what the fuck they're gonna do with Lamar.
Yeah, is this his last year on his rookie deal?
This is his last year. He won an MVP.
Mm-hmm. And
right?
I mean, John Harbaugh's out on a limb saying how much he loves him, and he believes
Lamar
him.
wants to be there, and then the Harbaugh just signed a new contract.
Yep. And it's the precedent that every quarterback that comes up makes the most ever. So that's a really good point, bro. I didn't even think about that because now it's like that just changed the precedent completely because of that guarantee.
Like, and the thing is, and I don't think it's not the amount. It's the fact that all of it was fucking guaranteed.
Yes, it was the guarantee amount. That was crazy. I didn't even know that was allowed.
So Lamar's like,
yeah,
like, come on, like, what are we talking about?
250 guaranteed, baby.
Come on, holla at me. Yeah. Because how could you not?
No, exactly.
Everything that your offense does is literally predicated around him.
Yep.
Only thing he's missing is just some like that go-to real receiver. Because honestly, his go-to weapon is Mark Andrews.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Hollywood Brown, like we thought was going to be that guy, and it turns out it seems like he's more of like it's hit or miss with him. Some games he goes off, some games he doesn't. So
yeah, and then Bateman is starting to come into his own, but he's not there yet.
Yeah.
So he still needs a weapon, but it's that run game. He just makes that run game so dangerous, bro. I really will. If he doesn't get at least 250. Now, if it's going to be fully guaranteed, I think that's the thing that everybody's going to be wondering is like whether or not this is going to be a fully guaranteed contract.
Yes.
I don't believe it is. I don't believe he's going to get a fully guaranteed contract.
I wouldn't think so either. But like you just said, is like, did this Deshaun Watson deal just change that whole precedent? Because it's like, like I just said to you, I didn't even know that was allowed. I've never heard of that in the NFL. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's at this point, it's like, what happens now? Like, what, that's really tough.
All I know is Lamar is about to be in for a big ass payday. And I'll put this out there. I think the number is going to be about 250. Let me not say this. I'll say it like this. I think it's going to be around at least like $45 million a year.
And that guaranteed percentage, though, that's where it's weird.
That's where it is. And then it's also the length of the contract. Remember, Mahomes just signed a fucking 10-year contract, right? So now it's really like the length of it. So this is what I'm going to assume. So like $49 a year, I'm assuming he's probably going to get around like a 5-year contract. My other guess is that it'll be roughly around 70 to 75% of that contract is going to be guaranteed.
Yeah.
So if we're doing numbers, let me pull out my calculator here.
There you go.
So if I go to 45, so we're talking about 225. If I get 75 of that guaranteed, so that's at least like 40 million of that guaranteed. 40 million of that a year guaranteed.
A year. Ooh, that's such big money, man. Holy shit. That's a tough thing for me if I'm looking at it from an organizational standpoint. Even with Mahomes, who I think is obviously generational, and I think that dude has the chance to be one of the greatest ever. But like 10 years is a long time in a sport that's not, I don't know. Basketball and baseball is a little different, man. Like football is football. You can take one bad play and like it's over. You know what I mean? So it's just like that's a tough one.
The reason I don't think it's as bad is because of the position that he's playing. Right? They're very protective of that of those assets as quarterbacks, and he doesn't run the ball as much, especially after he popped his knee. He dislocated his knee.
But that's different. That's different from Lamar though, because Lamar puts himself in harm's way a lot.
He does. It's part of their run game. So that's why I don't think it's going to be as long of a contract. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. What do you think? Like 5 years, maybe?
I'm guessing. That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be about 5 years, around $45 million a year.
Oh my Lord. That's so much money. Good for him. I hope he makes it. Deserves every dollar of it, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah. That's a really good point, man. Like from this point on, because every quarterback seems to set the bar for the new standard of what a quarterback gets paid. But Deshaun Watson, that just completely flipped the script with 100% guaranteed. I've never seen anything like that. So it's like, what a good thing for you to bring up, because at this point, it's like, now what does that do for the future star quarterbacks that are coming up? You know,
like what happens with Herbert?
Mm-hmm.
What happens with Kyler?
Yep.
Like,
is Josh Allen? Has he? I mean,
no, he hasn't.
I was gonna say.
So, like, what happens with Allen?
Yes. Oh my god.
Like,
man.
Like these kind, like,
yeah.
What?
This is gonna be fucking nuts, bro. Yeah, that just started like the Wild West for quarterback contracts, honestly. And Deshaun Watson runs the ball a lot too, though. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he's not. I don't think as much as Lamar. No, Lamar is basically like 1B running back. I mean, like he runs the ball that much, you know. And I basically to the point of like Michael Vick, because like I don't think I've ever seen anyone as much as those two. But like Deshaun still runs the ball. But yeah, it's completely different with Lamar. I mean, Lamar, it's like their offense is predicated on him. It's like he's probably going to run the ball, or or come out of an option or something like that. So
yeah.
So this is his last year, though, right? So that deal might be negotiated during the season, honestly.
I would think that they're saying that they're hoping to kind of do it after.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I just want to know what the number is.
Yeah.
And how much of that guaranteed money he's gonna get.
Yes. Definitely.
Because if he gets what Deshaun, bro, that's like if you get back-to-back contracts, of like fully guaranteed money, the market is gonna shit is gonna get fucking crazy.
Yeah, I don't expect that. I'm in your boat. I think like it'll be a bigger guarantee than we're used to seeing, but again, just because of how much they predicate their offense on Lamar running the ball and putting himself in harm's way, I can't see them giving him 100%. Unless it was like a 2 or 3 year deal. But even then, it's like that is a big risk. So I'd say we're going to see. If anything, though, to go back to the Deshaun Watson point, it's going to boost the guarantee percentage for quarterbacks to come, I'd say. You know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know what the percentages was for Mahomes, but yeah, at this point, it's going to have to be high.
If I'm not mistaken with Mahomes, I think, was it like it was close to like over half of it was guaranteed.
Yeah, I thought it was like 10 years, 500 million or something like that. I don't know what the
right. That's what his contract was. Or no, it wasn't even 5. It was like 4.
Okay,
he's getting like 40 million a year, or it's like 450 or something like that. But then like 250 to 300 of it was guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I don't know, but fuck that. I don't even know what that amount of money looked like. So we're both over here talking above our heads right now.
That's exactly what I was just sitting here thinking, man. I was like, that is so much money that I can't even like fathom what that would look like. As you were just saying that, I was just thinking like, man, that's like generational wealth where you're just setting up your whole family for forever, man, and deservedly so. Good for them. That's like gross money, man. That's like throwaway money. Yeah,
that's like. I remember, I think I was watching or reading something about Michael Jordan in his prime, and they said without Jordan buying anything major like a house, or like a like a company or anything like that, that he couldn't spend more money than what he made in a day.
That's so nuts, man. And that, are you talking about his NBA contract or like with his endorsements and stuff like that? Oop, I think
just in everything.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, like so, just literally everything. So, from his NBA contract to his endorsements, everything included, he could not spend more money than what he made in a day.
That's fucking nuts, man. And back then, I mean, his contract alone, that's crazy to think too, just how incrementally that's gotten so much more crazy, because he was the first dude. I remember like them talking about it in The Last Dance. He was the original NBA player of like 30 million a year. Like that was like, which was at that time unfathomable,
Right. But then we also too, you remember, he was the first to kind of do like these like 1-and-1 contracts, right? Remember where he had like a 2-year contract, he had signed, and then he had that second year where he could opt out and then re-sign again because the market has shifted and he completely shifted that bitch. So,
right. And it's nuts to think that they didn't do that before him, man, because also in The Last Dance, they talk about it in like the first episode, Scottie Pippen signed that like 9-year, like $18 million contract. It's
10-year.
Like 18 million.
Years. He wasn't getting shit.
Like, holy shit. And his perspective, because he talked about it right after, was just like he had a huge family and he was just like, I just need to make sure that they were okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I cared about.
Like, bro, you should have went like, let me get this like fire out of you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. But I mean, he's worth 18 million a year. Like, easy. You know what I mean? Like, that's so nuts, bro.
So
yeah,
I mean,
crazy.
You live and you learn. Hopefully, when his son go into a contract, he can make up for it.
Yeah,
he can tell him, hey, that ain't. Don't get a 10-year, $18 million contract.
Yeah, is his son play?
Yeah, he's got a son that plays at Vanderbilt.
Okay,
and he's nice.
Cool.
He's nice. He averages like 20 and like 6 or something like that. 20 and 7. Dude is nice.
Good to know. There's nothing more heartbreaking than that, man. Like the big one for me was new Isaiah Thomas when he was like that last year in Boston when it was like he was so close.
He was about to get a payday.
He was so close.
Boogie too.
Boogie too. That's a good point.
Remember, like when he was in New Orleans, he was up for a big payday, and then he got injured.
Yeah. I mean, I think Boogie had at least one contract before that was pretty lucrative, right? No, not wow. Yeah, that's no good. That's too bad.
Now, because he was at that point to where he's about to sign. It wasn't like a super max, but it was going to be a max contract.
Yeah.
And then it just.
Because the Kings had traded him there the year before on like a 2-year deal or something like that, right? Or
I forget what it was, but and then he was literally up for a max contract, probably going to be in a range around maybe like 180 or so. And
exactly
injury, bro.
Yeah, let's finish up with the NFL though. I'm very excited to see Detroit on Hard Knocks. That'll be pretty cool.
It is your boy, cool.
Your boy with the kneecaps. Maybe you'll come around to him a little bit.
I mean, I actually don't mind. I really don't mind him. I think he's such a player's coach. And I think there's something. I really do believe that there is something really kind of brewing there. We need weapons. We need talent.
Yeah,
and that's what right. And so it is a situation where they just have to they have to continue to draft right. And it's funny to say this, especially knowing Lions fans, that like we went through that stretch where we were just making these dreaded first round receiver draft picks when we didn't need to. But this is a situation where we actually need a first round draft pick receiver. Like it is needed.
I agree. Why are they talking about taking a D end though? I was gonna say they're saying like D end, but I could see a receiver too. Yeah.
The good thing is that we have 2 first round draft picks, if I'm not mistaken. So
there's one later.
Yeah, there's one later, and they need it. They definitely need it.
It seems like kind of a receiver heavy draft. I mean, but that's the thing though about every draft seems like a receiver heavy draft, and it's like a hit or miss thing. It's like you're either gonna hit on this dude that's really good, or they don't pan out that well, or you take a dude that's like late second round that turns out to be a stud like DK Metcalf. Like receiver's tough, man. Like I mean, obviously there's the ones that are like studs that are gonna do well, but like I don't know. Like you just said, what the Lions will tell you firsthand. Like it has not always worked out for them drafting these receivers high, and they just have not panned out to what they were supposed to be. So that almost makes me lean towards pass rusher first. But if we can get a bona fide stud receiver early, because what do we have, the second, third pick, something like that?
The second pick, and honestly, I don't think the quality of the receivers is as good. I actually think it's a much deeper defensive draft class than we've had in some years. Like I think you can honestly go 4 rounds and still have really good quality defensive players. So it's like if they get an opportunity to get a solid receiver with that second first round pick, they need to take it.
Yeah, but okay, but is Hutchison's there? Do you think like is that a dilemma for them? Like, do they because that's what everyone's.
I mean, I think they need it. They need it. So I'm not saying that them getting an edge rusher, I think is like if you get Hutchinson, go for him.
Okay.
But with that second first round pick, they have to get a receiver, bro.
Yeah.
Like we're completely voided of talent
Yes.
and with those position players, and it needs to be addressed.
I agree. Yeah, because I like St. Brown, but I think he'd be better suited as that second fiddle receiver per
Yeah,
se.
and then because we Detroit just got what was it Shark or something like that?
DJ Chark. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think
solid.
he's pretty solid. But again, it's not the go-to. We really need a number one.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and if we can get that, our offense would be very interesting because we've got two solid linemen. Then we'd have a really good tight end.
Hawkinson is nice.
Yes. Yes. So we'd have like a bunch of good, like a good receiving court. Why am I blanking on our running back's name? What's that dude's name? Swift. He's really good. So
yeah.
And Goff's questionable, but I just think like with everything else we got going on right now, he's almost like the least of our worries. It's almost just like put up with him for now, see what he can do, and let's just like fill in the other pieces. And then whenever that
he's still young.
Exactly. And we've seen him play elite, so you don't know if that could turn around, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing right now is that you can't say it's him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any talent.
Exactly.
So
that Hard Knocks is gonna be great. I'm really excited to watch that.
Yeah, and then outside of that, 2024
draft.
We're gonna be on Woodward.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Do they know what venue it'll be at?
I haven't seen anything regarding the venue. I would not be surprised if it's over there in Hart Plaza though.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool. That would be really cool, man. That's gonna be just fun to watch. Just like, wow, Detroit. Have we had it in Detroit before?
Not that I know of.
Yeah, definitely not.
But I'm glad that it's coming. That'll be dope. We probably gonna end up treating it like it's Super Bowl.
Yeah. We will. Because this is funny. Everyone's talking about it. It's like really not a huge deal. Like, I mean, but it's like
not,
we're all like,
it's like it's about to see the whole city about to be out.
Wow.
See a bunch of dudes with Kanye's on.
Right. They're like, they're recognizing us.
Like it is. They were like, what is going on? Why? It's everybody so flossy down here. I'm like, listen, this is the closest we're gonna get to a Super Bowl.
Right.
Let us do this, okay?
Right. I mean, you remember when the Super Bowl was in Detroit, right? I mean, I was young, so I barely remember that. Was it just popping then? Was like the city going wild when it was in Detroit?
I mean, yes and no. No, because it was still fucking cold outside. Like, we got to remember, like, Super Bowl
February.
Fucking, like, we got to recognize where we at, right?
Yeah.
So it's still cold out. But, I mean, it was still just crazy down there. I remember just going down there and just driving. I didn't even do anything. I just went around and drive. Like, Greektown is just crazy. All of downtown was just nuts.
I'm sure it was.
And then I realized back then, like it wasn't as much like downtown then as it is now. Right?
Yeah, you're right. It's been built up so much over the last 5 years, even. So
crazy. So it will. It's gonna be really cool just to kind of have that flood, and I'm happy that the city's getting it though.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Big things coming to us, man. It's hopefully it's just the team.
There is no us. You're in Arizona. Remember,
that is true.
Your ass back home talking about something. I can't do the cold anymore.
I guess I'm a Cardinals fan now. I don't know, but no.
Damn transplant.
And while all this is going on, the Saints signed fucking Andy Dalton. Fucking Andy Dalton. I mean, like, fuck me, right? Like, that's what we need, Andy Dalton. Like, it's
just insurance. It's just insurance. That's all it is.
Is it though? I mean, Jesus Christ.
You really honestly believe that he's gonna be able to compete with Jameis?
No, but I just think about, like, you say insurance as if Jameis goes out, and it's like, yeah, I don't want that fucking dude under center. That dude is like, oh my god, man.
Leave the red rocket on.
Yeah, I was excited, man. Thought we had a shot at Deshaun, but
and then what's the name retired?
Who's that? Oh, Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins retired. They lost. Why am I blanking on his name right now? Really good offensive lineman. He went to the fucking Dolphins, man. Shit, can't think of his name right now. But yeah, Saints are doing some interesting things right now. I don't really know. But what can you do, man? Hopefully they'll surprise me this year and have a decent season. I don't really know what else to say about them. Yeah, we're so NBA or Will Smith. Where you want to go?
We could go either way. We can merge the two of them. It don't matter. Let's talk about it.
You know, my thing, man, is like I gotta stop letting shit that has no effect. Maybe this will come later in my life. Like, I don't know, but like shit that has no effect on my life will just like bother the shit out of me for like no apparent reason. Like
it'll come later in life.
Because for 2 days, Mo, like 2 full days, I was so angry about the Will Smith incident. And I'm just sitting back like, why the fuck do you care, bro? Like, this has no effect on you at all. Like, these are celebrities. Like, it has nothing to do with you. But like, ooh, that one, yeah, that burned me for a couple days. I was pretty mad about that, man.
It will come with age where you'll start to develop a fuck it.
Yes, like I don't give a fuck.
It just you're like
that is not there yet, and for some reason that one fucking tickled me weird, and I didn't like that whole debacle, man.
So let's unpack it. Tell me about it. How are you feeling, and then so that way,
I mean,
everybody else can know.
I think, first of all, I totally think Jada and Will have the right to be offended or upset by like what was said. Like that's like you have the right to your feelings for sure. I'm just someone that, and I think we've talked about this in other situations. I can't remember off the top of my head in detail what we were talking about, but I think I've said before, I'm just so against like violence that's unprovoked for no reason. Just for me is just like, I mean, like if we want to break it, like he assaulted Chris Rock. Like that's what that was, right? And it's just, I guess I really agree with like Jim Carrey's take on it of just like, you cannot, it almost just made me just look at Hollywood as a whole and go like, that is just so gross that like, these people that are so removed from reality that like, you're going to take a comedian who's clearly joking, walk up on stage and do that, and then receive an award and people are giving this dude a standing ovation. And I'm just over here like, what the fuck is going on, man? Like, I could not believe. Nothing to do with his performance to Ken Richard. I thought that he was awesome, but it's just like, I feel like any other human, you look at that and he's like, he should be escorted out of that venue for doing that. That's where I'm at with it.
So, I did not have a problem with what he did.
Okay.
The only problem that I had is that he did it on national TV in front of everybody.
Okay.
That's what I had a problem with. Had he like went in the back and like hollered at Chris Rock in the back and then slapped him, then I don't think I would have been. I don't think it. It definitely wouldn't have been as big.
Yeah.
But one thing is that like I think there's been a bit of a history with Chris Rock and him kind of making jokes at Jada.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part of it is that she's dealing with a medical condition. She has alopecia, right? So she's very sensitive about the fact of her not having hair. Mm-hmm. And he was reacting to his wife being upset in that point because it felt like it was a bit of a low blow. And I think the other portion of it that kind of adds to is that you would think if anybody understands that a bit, as far as like, especially black women in their hair is just a very sensitive topic.
Black women more specifically.
And black women more specifically, just because of how, especially by society, how black hair is evaluated, viewed, criticized, whatever it is. It's just an additional layer.
Yes.
And for him to kind of do that towards something that was kind of sensitive to her, something that I'm pretty sure is probably a pain point.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think, and then not to mention, I think Will has just been through a lot of shit over the last like year and a half or two.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, because everybody saw it initially, he laughed, but
that's what I was about to bring up.
Looked over and he saw the pain in Jada's face.
And that's where it kind of bothers me more, bro. I don't know. Something with that relationship just tickles me so weird, man. I don't know how to like.
Well, let me ask you this. Somebody makes a joke about your wife. Let's say somebody makes a joke about your girlfriend. She has alopecia. She has a bald head. They make a joke about it. Are you going to want to address them?
Yes.
I'm not saying go and slap them, but at least you're going to want to address them about it.
And that's a great, I like that you said that, because I was going to say, I have no problem with what he said afterwards. I think that was in line completely. If he wanted to scream out, keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth, like that's totally fine. I just can't get down with the walking on and humiliating them like that and smacking them. It's like, you also have to understand you're an A-list celebrity, like one of the most popular people in the entire world. You're front row at the Oscars and Chris Rock's hosting. Like, you're fair game to get made fun of. Now, again, completely understand everything you just said, and it does not take away the fact that they have the right to be offended completely. But it's just like you also have to see that you're gonna get roasted. Like that's just part of being front row at the Oscars.
But so I do think that understand, like being at a comedy show, being in front row, somebody's gonna say something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also as a comic, you have to know what is okay to kind of talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And the reason why I say this specifically with Chris Rock and black women's hair, he did a whole documentary on black hair.
Yes.
Right. So he should already know how sensitive that is for black women as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he used his best judgment in that.
I'd agree.
So I'm not, because I mean, people, and let's make sure that we're aware of this. This is not the first time someone was assaulted at the Oscars either, because John Wayne went and tried to assault a Native American actress at the Oscars one time, like years ago. So it's not the first time. I think it's just probably one of the first times where there was actually some type of contact that happened.
Yeah.
So I do not. So I will say this: I don't like the fact that Will slapped him on stage, but I will say that I do not have a problem that he did it.
Okay.
I just wish it wouldn't have happened in front of millions of people on camera, where it's recorded like that. I wish had he took him to the back and was like, "Hey, keep my name, wipe out your fucking mouth," slapped him, and then was like, "You hear me?" Like,
yes.
Then I think that's a different way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It's interesting too, because the joke is too. So I don't like this is kind of joking, but kind of interesting to think about too. Is because it was Chris Rock, who's like a smaller man. Because like 50 immediately, one thing 50 Cent's gonna do is fucking comment on a situation, and he's already got like a long history.
Oh, 50 Cent is the number one pettiest person in fucking America.
He immediately afterwards was like, "I'm hosting the Oscars next year," and I was like, "That motherfucker."
She's like, "I want this smoke. I want to smoke. I wish somebody would roll up on me."
But on a serious note to that, that's interesting too, because I think Shannon Sharp brought that up. It's like, would he have done that if it wasn't Chris Rock, who's this really smaller man? Like if it was some huge dude, like would he have got up there like that and tried to smack him? And I was like, that's an interesting point, because Shannon was like, I would have beat the shit out of fucking
Shannon was like, he'd have to catch these hands. I
saw that. Man. Shannon was not happy about it. That was interesting. So I thought that was an interesting point too. And back to your point, it was very interesting to see Will laugh at first, and like you said, kind of look over, and I think it panned away, so we didn't really see exactly what happened. But I think he probably was like, "Oh shit, wifey didn't like that," and that kind of enraged him. I heard Charlemagne made a good point too. I didn't read Will Smith's new book. I don't know if you did too, but everyone's bringing up how it may have been beyond just that joke is very, granted, can still be offensive, is very small in the grand scheme of what Will Smith, like you said, has been through in the last couple of years, but also in his whole life. And Charlemagne brought up the point of Will Smith he elaborates in his book that his whole childhood, he had a lot of issues with the fact that with himself, he struggled with the fact that he saw his mom get beat by his father his whole life and wasn't able to do anything about it.
Like type of thing.
Yes. So it's like, that could have just been years of what Will Smith's going through in the public eye. And then his childhood just built up. And in that moment, he just felt like, fuck it. And just,
I mean, you never know when somebody's going to reach their breaking point.
Exactly.
Right? Like, a breaking point can happen at anything, at the littlest thing, right?
Yes.
And I think maybe that was just one of those triggers where he kind of flashed back and saw, or envisioned that whole thing of his mom and the situation with his dad. And he was like, "Oh, no, I need to step up in this moment." So
that was a hard smack too, man. Like he fucking laid into that shit. I was like, and Will Smith, credit to Chris Rock too, though. He was a professional about it. Like he carried on very well, because that would have been a horrible debacle if, like, kind of how Shannon said, like if he would have handled it any differently and it, like he went after him or something like that, So I mean, Chris Rock stayed professional, which was good. Right. That could have went 100 different ways,
So then, so you would have to. I don't know how much of a churchgoer you are, or if you ever been.
It's been a while. Yeah, I grew up Catholic, but it's been a while.
So of course, I don't know if you saw the video of like Denzel and like Tyler Perry, and I think even Bradley Cooper were going over there and like having a conversation with Will and everything. And so I saw somebody post a meme, like, not the deacons at the church over here having a conversation. And so it's this thing in the black church. Like anytime you see at the congregation, you see the deacons having a conversation with somebody, you know it's serious. Like shit that got real. So that's the thing. Like, bro, that shit was fucking hilarious.
It was crazy to just see how shocked everyone was, man. Like that, just like I didn't know
Like,
what you just told me.
Like,
new
did you
info.
See Lupita Nyong'o's face? She was right behind him.
Yes, absolutely nuts, man. I think a lot of people just had the same reaction at first of just like, what just happened? Like, was that real? Was that a stunt? Like I think because that's where I was with it too. I was like, well, was that for real? You know, that was an interesting thing. It's reflecting on it now, like it's just interesting. But yeah, man, I was boiling for a couple of days there. I was just like,
that kind of got you going, huh?
And I just had to step back and like, why am I letting stupid shit that has nothing to do with my life fucking affect me? But yeah, man, like it's that's social media is toxic too, man, because you're just reading a bunch of different opinions and shit like that, and you're just like, yeah, it's tough, man. I got to get to a point where I'm just like, I can have my opinion and fuck it, whatever anyone else has to say is what they got to say.
I have learned to like really back off of social media, especially with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I really had to learn that during 2020 because of just all the civil unrest and all like I really had to learn like I'm not about to do this because it drains you of your energy, it consumes your time, and I had to learn to just be like, I'm not gonna have an opinion on this.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Or just not to get to a point where you're in detail every day throwing all your opinions out there, like especially controversial ones on the internet. Like it's just like I've never been that person, but like to steer away from just like because you're just skimming, like, and I'll just go through the wormhole, of just going through everyone's opinion. It's like I'm like, why am I doing this? Like even people I don't respect or like I know you're stupid. Like I know you in person. Like I don't respect your opinion. Why am I reading it and getting angry? You know what I mean? Like it's just like
you'll get to that point where you be like, this is pointless.
Yeah, man.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
Too much, man. Too much. But I know he apologized the next day, and like I liked his apology. That was pretty thorough. I agreed with him.
I mean, though he didn't apologize to Chris Rock, though.
Not on the moment, but he did on Instagram. I don't know if he actually reached out.
Did he apologize to Chris on Instagram, or did he apologize to the Academy?
I thought that was during the speech, but I'm pretty sure on his Instagram he did like a direct.
I thought in the Academy, in his in his Instagram, he apologized to the Academy. I didn't see that he apologized to.
Yeah, he did a direct one to Chris Rock, and I think Chris Rock still hasn't really made a statement about it, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes.
Oh yeah, he did sound like to apologize to Chris. Yeah.
So yeah, interesting, man. I don't know. It is just weird though, because it's like I always think I'm like, because he's a celebrity, like in any other instance, like how wild it would have been to see him like escorted out of there or something like that, And I don't think that would have been possible, being that he was up for one of the biggest awards at the Oscars. So
that's I think part of the drama that kind of came out of it today. Is that what's new? They said that he was asked.
Oh, really?
So that the Academy asked. They had people ask him to leave, and he refused. So that was originally what came out, was that he refused to. Now they're saying that actually the Academy lied. They said that he was that he was told by one of the producers, whatever, that he did not have to leave.
People that's my thing with Hollywood, bro. It's just like, it's also like smoke and mirrors. You have no idea what's actually going on. Like they're all just trying to cover for their image, do damage control. And it's like, oh, it's weird, man. It's fucking weird.
It was. I think what's going to happen is kind of going forward, they'll probably have some sort of security.
Yeah.
So just in case if anybody decides to like walk up that's not supposed to be walking up at that time, they're going to come and check them out.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because that's what a big argument people had that were really upset about it was just the precedent that sets for events like that, but also like comedy clubs and stand-up comedy. Like, does anyone just feel emboldened now to be like, I'm going to stand up and fucking smack you if you say something about me?
But also, let's be real too, that like that's not the first time that like a comedian has been attacked. Like comedians have had shit thrown at them. Somebody ran up on them. So let's not act like that's like the first time.
Comedians are probably one of the most disrespected artists just in general.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like that's the first time that that's happened. It's just the first time that that's happened.
It's such a big thing. Yeah.
With that high profile type of individual.
Yeah.
But this is not the first time. Because I've been to a comedy show where somebody threw some shit at a comedian and they got kicked out the place. But like, so
That's awkward.
we gotta be real about it. It's, comics just have a live a bit of a crazy lifestyle as far as the harm, especially the shit that they're doing and talking about people. You don't know how somebody's going to react.
Yes,
and they just got to be able to deal with that.
I'm with you, man. All right, so I know we're gonna have to do Final Four and we have to do NBA. So whatever you want to.
NBA. Hold on. Well, I have another topic that we have to talk. I feel like we may need to talk about. I don't know if we have.
Okay.
And it's the whole Leah Thomas thing.
Okay. What's your opinion?
So, okay. So the whole situation is that you have this male athlete that wasn't a strong male swimmer, right? He's become, now she is transgender. She's a transgender woman, and went and competed, and now just won a couple of races.
Whatever event that was. Yeah.
I think it was like the 500 in for women's NCAA. Now there's a bunch of outrage because it's like she has an unfair advantage because of her body composition. Like, it's not fair for a male to be able to go and transition to a woman and be able to go and dominate the female event. So from what I have understood from this is that it was just a couple of races where she was winning. But if you look at the rest of her numbers for the rest of the season, they're all over the fucking place.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Because that was the false narrative that was being put on social media was like 400 and whatever male swimmer to now number one female swimmer. But it's like, no, she won a couple races.
She won a couple races. She's not the number one. She's not even number one. I think she just ended up winning the NCAA, winning the championship, but she's not even number one. Right? And then when we look at athletes, regardless of the sport that they're in, every athlete has a different body composition.
That's correct. Yes.
Right? So every athlete is going to have a different advantage over other athletes.
That is true.
Right? So you can make mention about the fact that like she's tall. She's not the only tall swimmer that there's ever
Definitely not. I think the big thing for them is testosterone output and like bone density and muscle mass. You know what I mean? That's what people. And so for my thing, not so much in swimming, but it's weird. Like, let's say a dude goes over to UFC. I'm a little iffy on that. You know what I mean? Like transitions to a woman. And then it's like, so is this female who just transitioned now beating up on other women? I don't know if you're catching where I'm going with it, but it's just like, it's.
So I think it's a completely different thing when you think about it from UFC, because that's a contact sport. So I think that's a bit different thing. So that has to be, we have to evaluate how that looks and what that looks like. But we also got to keep in mind, there's probably women that could beat some of these men's ass.
Yeah.
In some of these contact sports as well. So I think it really just depends on, I think we have to evaluate it and based on I think it really kind of depends on the sport. Right. So I don't know if we can I don't know if it can be the same in the in those like contact sports. But I think if things are testing and like those testosterone levels are falling within scope where they need to, and then they're within weight class.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
We'll have to see. I think we have to see it to know if it's something that can be done. I don't know. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it's just tough though, because I also look at it from the perspective of like, for the one race specifically, for the female swimmer that came in second. I just think about it like that. Like I do try to put myself in her shoes, and it's like, what is she thinking? Is she like, I trained my whole life for this? You know what I mean? And now it's like a man that transitioned to a woman now beat me, and I don't know what she's going through, or if she's thinking that, or if she's supportive of Leah Thomas. I'm not sure, but it's like, I'm just trying to look at it from all angles. You know what I mean? Like,
fair, but she also was a silver medalist in the Olympics. Is she complaining about the person that beat her in the Olympics too?
That's fair. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Like, whoever doesn't win gold still has somebody that's better than them.
Definitely. Yeah. It's just a tough thing for me, man. It has nothing to do with acceptance because I totally, that's Leah Thomas's complete right to do that. And being that she loves the sport of swimming and has been doing that her whole life, that'd be tragic for her to have to give that up just because she made that transition. Right. So it's like, I totally understand that. But it's just tough because, like I said, I look at it from those other women's perspectives, and I do understand what people say from that boat perspective, that it's unfair for those women. It's just tough. I don't know if anyone's throwing this out, and I hope this isn't insulting for me to throw out there, but do you think there could be a time where there's like a transgender league of some sort? Like, I don't know if that sounds ignorant, like, but that's just something that I was thinking of because I was thinking about it pretty in depth the other day.
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is part of my concern if we do something like that, because then it becomes like we're segregating them. Mm-hmm. And then it starts to think about like how they were thinking about having just like a black league when like with the baseball or whatever, right? You're literally putting them into their own category because you're not comfortable with them being in another one.
That is a good point.
Just that just kind of that comes across being very, very sketchy, right?
It does.
And it can become a very slippery slope. So that's a bit of my concern when something like that is mentioned, because I think about it from like a racial standpoint. Like you think about there were literally conversations around like how black people had a different muscle,
or their brains are different and all that shit.
You know what I mean? It's literally the same conversation that is being had now with these transgender athletes.
That's a good point.
And it was the same conversation that they were having around how, well, black people, they're just so superior athletes and we can't put them in the same because they're just so much so superior and they have these faster muscle twitch fibers and they're stronger with their, like,
that is a good point.
It gets very, very slippery with that. And so I'm not a fan of it.
The whole thing's a gray area, man. And it's
super gray. And I think we're just getting into this. Is so new that I don't know what's gonna come of it. I'll be interested to see what happens. But yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on it because it's been a pretty high topic as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm somewhere where I see both sides, and it's just for me, it's like I look at her specifically, and I feel bad for Leah Thomas in the sense that like she's not trying to fucking start all this shit. I don't think she wants all this attention around her right now. You know, it's just like she made that transition, which everyone has the right to do if that's what they want to do. And she is a fucking passionate swimmer and she shouldn't have to give that up. You know, it's just
what that is too. I think what bothers me a little bit is that people are making it seem like she did that just so that way she could be a champion.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Absolutely not. That would be wrong. Like that would be ridiculous if some dude was just like, hey, I don't feel this way at all, but I'm going to do this just for the sake of glory and like winning. That would be completely different. Right. I would never question someone in that way. Who am I to tell anyone like you don't actually feel like that? You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous. Yeah. But
so that was a thing where I was just like, yeah, that's just fucked up.
Like you said, though, I think a good word to end is just like it's so new. So it'll be interesting to see how this is handled in the future because we're getting into a point where this is going to become part of our world, you know, like we're becoming a more accepting world where we're understanding that people are going to make these transitions. And it's like, where are we going to go with this? Because obviously we're going to see this more and more, you know?
Yeah, so it's going to be more prevalent. And I think we just have to be, I don't know if we have to be right now. It's like, we're trying to figure it out, but we have to explore it to try to see like, if it makes sense.
Yes. I'm with you there.
Right. Yeah. It's science, right? So we have to try to figure it out and see it.
Yeah.
Let it kind of play out and see what happens. So
yeah.
Okay. We can move on now.
All right. I got 10 minutes till dinner, so let's go Final Four predictions and then we'll call it a day. Right.
Final Four predictions. I am going Carolina and Kansas.
Okay.
And I'm going Kansas as champions.
Kansas shit. So I've got the exact opposite. I've got Duke beat North Carolina, and I don't know why this is, other than it's March Madness, and in my head I'm just like Villanova's gonna upset Kansas, and then Villanova's gonna win it all, and I have no idea why. That's just where I'm at with it. They seem hot. They're shooting really well, and I'm just like I want to see if they can keep riding it. And they're playing really good defense too. I think out of all four of them, Kansas is the best team. But I'm just like in my head, I'm like, this has been such a crazy tournament with St. Peter's and all this shit. Like, I just like I don't know.
What scares me about Villanova is the fact that they're losing they lost one of their best players to injury. Justin Torres out. And so that really is the key for them. So I'm a bit nervous around what happens with that. That's why I'm not trusting of it right now. And really why I like for Kansas is because Remy Martin is starting to come on.
Yeah.
Like, dude is starting to ball out the transfer from Arizona State. He's starting to it's starting to click for him. I think he's been averaging like 20 something in the tournament. So like now having that extra guard play along with Obage and I forget the other, I think it's Merrick or something like that, the other forward. Like
Obage is their leading scorer. I know that. He's playing great. Yeah, they're a scary team, man. It just seems like every single year, man, like it's literally like it's such a good name for it because it's every year it's madness. Like you have no idea. Like these teams that just come out of nowhere. Like and it's funny that we have two seeds and a 1 seed, which in an 8th seed, but it's still like a big name school that we all know of in UNC. But the tournament that's not indicative of like what this tournament's been because
the tournament's been fucking crazy. But like it comes down to it, and like you just have these traditional powerhouses like Villanova. Jay Wright is just such a he literally is the next Mike Krzyzewski. Yeah, he really is, bro. Yep. And the thing is that the only thing with him is that he doesn't get those type of players that Duke gets.
But I think he could. I think it's going to start at some point here. Like
like as long as they have won like 3 championships in like the over the decade or so. Yeah, and they're still not getting those type of guys. Like he just finds a way to get these players, these 3-4-star players, and they put fitness system. They stay for like at least 3 years or 4 years, and they're just consistently good.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, because I'm a State fan too, but I'm gonna say Michigan's the same way in that regard, man. I mean, like Michigan every single year seems to make a run in the playoffs, whether they're a high seed or they're not. Like they do it every year, man. Them and State, like maybe it's not always concurrent, like they don't always do it together, but like you look back year after year, one of the two always has like a pretty deep run. It seems like, at least in recent memory for me.
Like I don't know if you can really mention that about State. Let's just be honest. So Michigan has been to like 5 Sweet 16, so you're welcome.
I mean,
5 straight, by the way.
State was in the finals, or the Final Four, 3 years ago when they upset Zion and RJ Barrett and them.
Yeah. When's the last time that Michigan State made it to a championship game? Don't worry, I'll wait.
I don't know. It was maybe 2010.
Like when they played North Carolina and got their ass kicked.
Yeah, they got lit up. I remember that. Yeah. That was sad.
I mean, Michigan can't talk because we've been to 3 championship games and lost all of them. Yeah. And one of them we got played by that block on Trey that Trey Burke had.
That's what I was talking to my dad about the other night, man. When I just made that point to him, I was like, I remember being young, sitting in front of the TV and just watching that Trey Burke game against Kansas when he hit that fucking deep 3 to tie it and go to
insane, bro.
It just seems like
remember, I don't know if you remember when Jordan Poole hit that 3 against Houston.
Yes.
Being crazy, bro. But yeah, Michigan has been really, really good over the last couple of years, bro.
They have. Even when their record isn't like this year, and it's like they still. It just seems like every year they make a run in the postseason, as you'd call it, I guess, in the tournament. They it's impressive, man. I got to take my hat off to them. Like they always make runs. Don't they have the longest Sweet 16 streak now or something like that? I don't know.
No, they don't have the longest. I think actually Gonzaga does.
Okay.
But I mean, to have 5 straight, there's only a handful of schools that have been able to do that, and so for Michigan to really be able to do that and not really kind of being seen as like a basketball school.
For sure. Hats off to them.